Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here in Paris with our Canadian friends that are live from Vancouver and Toronto and Ottawa. I'm here with Roman, who is also Canadian, who lives in France. And I'm very happy to have this opportunity to thank everyone and also to apologize for the delay because we experienced some connection issues. But you have to know that we are really in live. Our friends are in Canada, and we decided to take that risk because we wanted to have this conversation all together about the fantastic opportunities for the French ecosystem and the Canadian ecosystem to work together on new technologies. We do this with the help and support of the Alliance Française, also with the French Embassy, and it's a common and joint effort we are managing all together to connect the two parts of this world, the eastern part of the French and the western part of Canada. And I would like to welcome different friends and guests that will help us to understand what's happening and put all this effort in context. So we will have Charlotte Montel and then Gerri SINCLAIR joining us directly from Vancouver. Please welcome Miss Charlotte Montel, live from Ottawa.
Good evening for people in Paris, and good afternoon for colleagues on the east coast of Canada, and good morning to friends in Vancouver. The Embassy of France in Canada and its Service de Coopération et d'Action Culturelle that I lead are dearly attached to the innovative industries and the immersive realities. And therefore, I'm very pleased and proud to open these meetings today. Thank you for the invitation and for the organization. As you may know, it is with the support and leadership of President Macron himself, who has made it a structuring objective of his term, and thanks to his ambitious France 2030 plan, that we are working on the development of cultural and creative industries. Also under his leadership, in 2019, France organized the États généraux, so a big debate on cultural and creative industries to delve into the subject and to boost the French sector. The global context of the COVID-19 pandemic and environmental issues have questioned and accelerated the development of digital media and the necessity of new and hybrid spaces. From a creative point of view, we are proud of the French successes of immersive experiences within the performing arts, and we can give the brilliant example of Blanca-Lee's Le Bal de Paris, which won last year the Lion for Best VR Experience at the Venice Film Festival. This commitment is for us particularly important and even more a priority in our cooperation with Canada, and especially with Western Canada, a reference territory for innovation, high technology, and audiovisual and digital experimentation. In this sense, over the past couple of years, with our cultural office at the Consulate General of France and the Alliance Française in Vancouver, que je salue, in partnership with local institutions, we have launched several programs dedicated to immersive realities. For example, and it is the most important example, or the first example, let's say, Espace V, Espace V, the first multi-user metaverse platform of our international network, the whole French network in the world, was launched in 2021 by the Alliance Française in Vancouver to host VR, 2D arts and video content in a virtual Alliance Française of the Future space. Developed by the Canadian company Kreis Immersive, this France-Canada co-production is one of the symbols of our action in favor of innovation in Vancouver and in Canada. Furthermore, we organize annual exhibitions dedicated to immersive realities under the name V-UNFRAMED, and a very recent residency program with the Center for Digital Media, CDM, in Vancouver, with the coming of the artist Romain Lalire last September. This year, we are also participating in an ambitious program called Immersion Canada that is geared right from Paris and dedicated to the incubation of French startups in Canada throughout 2023 in collaboration with the Institut Français, Business France, and Platform Calgary in Alberta. The call for participation will close in 2 weeks on December the 1st, and I will give a link for registration.
We are really live.
Sorry for this. Sorry. As you can see, our ambitions are high, and we can only rejoice over this wonderful collective adventure that is happening in BC, because that is of BC what that we are talking about, and in Canada as a whole. And it's also a way for all our Canadian friends to show and to know that things are also happening outside of Montreal. So that's very important for us. And we are very, very attached to the good collaboration we have with the West Coast, in particular British Columbia. So just to conclude, I would like to thank, of course, all the organizers of this XR Industry Day. Kif, of course, thank you to all of you. The Alliance Française de Vancouver, Damien, Fanny, Sur-Zur, the colleagues of the French Embassy, and especially I have a word to Alexandre Coll, who was one of the first to work on this issue and had to leave Vancouver. And I don't know, Alexandre, if you hear us, but thank you for all that you've done. And all the participants of the following conversations today. And special thanks to Gerri SINCLAIR. We are very honored that you are participating in this opening of the discussion, and I wish you all very fruitful exchanges today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's extremely important to have you, and I want to thank you again for your support and for all the team effort. As we are running late, I think we go directly to the discussion with Gerri SINCLAIR. How are you, Gerri?
I'm very good, and je m'excuse for being...
No worries. I think we are very honored to have you. So we go directly to your presentation. As the BC Innovation Commissioner, what is your vision about what's happening on this immersive space?
Well, for me, it's very exciting. Do we have my slides by any chance?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm very excited to be here, and I want to thank you all for holding this tremendous collaboration. And yes, you're right. Even though sometimes the technology causes problems, the very fact that we can do it is still magic, and that I'm really glad that we persisted. So I'm the BC Innovation Commissioner, and my role here in the province is to build a very strong, robust innovation ecosystem within the province, and the immersive technologies are very much part of it. Can you hear me? Is everything okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. And I don't know where my slides are, so I'll just keep talking. Is that right?
Experiencing an issue with the presentation. Yeah. Okay.
There it is.
Here's the presentation.
Okay. So there you see me. I am just about to get into the 60,000-pound hydrogen truck. A lot of my work is focused on clean technologies and working in terms of innovation in the province and in Canada to actually help us fight climate change. So I thought I would start off with an image to show you one of my very most fun days was when I drove this big truck. Okay, next slide, please. You can jump over the next two slides because I'm going to go to the Center for Digital Media slide, which is slide number 4. Can you move those forward?
Wait. Yes.
Okay. So the history of innovation in immersive technologies is long in the city of Vancouver. 2 more slides. And I was lucky enough to be the founder of the Center for Digital Media in Vancouver in 2007, a master's degree program focusing on new digital media technologies. And so we opened in 2007. I was already very interested in the virtual world, and as a matter of fact, and Yangos, who's going to be talking later, he was a student. Every student who appeared on the very first day of classes in September of 2007 had to bring an avatar. So we were way ahead of the curve, and there was a course called Building Virtual Worlds, and that was back 15 years ago. Next slide. So because we were a brand new center, I decided that we better also have a virtual presence. So this is the actual. I found my old slides from the CDM back from 2007.
So you were already in Second Life.
We were in Second Life in 2007. We created a building, our virtual CDM in 2007, and we held events and we recruited future students there. Next slide. The premier of the province came in November to actually open the Center for Digital Media, both in real life and in virtual life, in Second Life, and that's him on my far left. And we created an avatar for him, and that's me. I was quite a bit younger than 15 years ago, and together we launched the center. Could you turn to the next slide? There's the premier and his avatar. Launching our Center for Digital Media. And next slide. And there we are. That was us in Second Life launching our new building, and basically it was on the cover of the local newspaper, because nobody had ever really thought about virtual reality then. Anyhow, I wanted to point that out because I just wanted to say that Vancouver has been at the forefront of these immersive technologies and digital media technologies. The reason the Center for Digital Media was established in the first place is because at that particular point in time, we had more video game developers per capita than anywhere else, and we were known as Hollywood North for our 3D animation companies and capabilities. And so on the foundation of our history, we continue to thrive and to actually be a hotbed of new technologies. And I think I'm going to skip over my slides, those slides, folks, because
Project Zelda and the digital twins.
Let's move on. And all I wanted to say is that it's a huge pleasure to be here.
And it's an important aspect. Actually, Vancouver innovated not only from a cultural standpoint, but also from an architectural standpoint, the 3D digital twins. So it's a complete effort, an innovation effort you are managing, right?
Absolutely. And right now, my major work, the reason I wanted to put this digital twin of the airport, my major work is focused on, as I said, climate change and technology adoption across all of our sectors. And so I mean, what we're really focused on is the industrial metaverse. And digital twinning is a fundamental piece of the industrial metaverse. And so I'm working with the Vancouver Airport on their digital twin, which was done in a game engine, right? It's done in Unity, and there are a lot of digital twins that are using Unreal as well, and Vancouver is at the center. So thank you very much for.
And Frontier Collective, can you talk a little bit about Frontier Collective?
Oh, of course. So the Frontier Collective, again, this is, I started with 2007, and right now we're talking about 2022. Frontier Collective is a group of maybe over 200 companies who are focused on frontier technology, and at the foundation of the frontier technology is VR, AR, XR, the metaverse, crypto, Bitcoin, NFTs, and extended to AI and quantum and other of the leading bleeding edge technologies. And this group has come together, and they now represent over 200 companies in the province. and they're growing, and in terms of establishing Vancouver and BC as a beachhead for these new frontier technologies. But the big thing about the Frontier Collective, they're based on Web3 ideology as well. Very inclusive, very cooperative, very collaborative, and all of us are delighted that we can have this alliance with France, and we're very enthusiastic about the technologies and the work that you have done to bring us together. So thank you very
so
much.
Thank you so much, Gerri, for all your kind words. And as you said, it's an alliance, and we will talk about this alliance concretely with our friends from the Alliance Française, Damien, HUBERT, and Yangos. Please, Damien, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you. Actually, I don't see anyone, and I don't see myself either. So.
But we can hear you. We can hear you.
Right,
oh, we can see
that's
you.
That's all right.
So you're the head of.
You can hear me. That's fine.
You're the head of the Alliance Française. How do you see this cooperation going?
Well, I mean, it's true that usually we don't see Alliance Française network in this area. We are more known for education, promoting French language and cultural diversity and different francophone cultures. But the whole thing is, Alliance Française is a non-for-profit organization. So we are local organization. We have a huge international network, but we are all independent. So every center, every Alliance Française is locally, independent, and we are working with partners. So in 2019, for our 115 years anniversary, we decided to, even if we were kind of an old institution in a city as whole as Vancouver almost, we decided to invest in innovation and technology, and with partner. I mean, we were already in contact with artists in digital arts, partners, local partners such as the Center for Digital Media and Medica University and Design. And we decided to connect with, we have a connection with Laval Virtual in France. So Laval Virtual is a big festival in virtual reality. So we decided to create a partnership and to do the first art and VR exhibition.
So this is called, it's the famous V-Space that you invented with...
Actually, Espace V, V-Space is a VR platform. V-UNFRAMED, in 2019, that was Recto VR So. So we had, during 2 years, 2019 and 2020, Recto Verso, so the VR and art and VR exhibition that was launched in Vancouver. That was the first VR exhibition in VR in Vancouver. The international exhibition.
Do we have a presentation or a clip to share?
Yeah.
Please. So how do you perceive this effort, Damien? Is it a success?
Yeah, of course it is a success, because we are the 4 years now. I mean, I don't know if you see the slides, but We have now 4 different events, and it was already a success because we see ourselves as trying to bring accessibility for the VR things. I mean, the Espace V, the platform we created, we launched in 2021 with Kreis, and Yangos will talk about it a little bit in the technicality. But the idea was really to bring VR world in the general public, and we talk about Metaverse, we talk about many things, but for most of the people that never wear any headset in their life, it's something that it's really it's still a bit blurry. So that was really important for us to bring this to the general public and make sure we created the accessibility of this. And now Espace V is at another level because we want to use that tool to make sure we create that world, that multi-space experience where people can be access to this from everywhere in the world and share a moment in this virtual platform to share cultural content. So it could be 2D, it could be 3D, it could be 360 movies. And really the idea is to create a moment, same as we can have in the physical world, but in a virtual platform and get in contact with artists. Because I think something is missing right now in the metaverse is we don't have so much connection with the artists. So
True.
by creating events in the Espace V world, we can really connect artists and users. So the accessibility is really key for us. And same for V-UNFRAMED. It was a free event. It is a free event. And during 2 days, we welcome 500 people. We have school days coming. So it's really important for us when we create it and when we design the event to be accessible for everyone.
Thank you, Damien. Yangos, welcome. So you are the Canadian partner, the one who built this universe for Alliance Française. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
You're from Vancouver too? Are you living there?
Vancouver. Yeah, Vancouver too. Been here for a while. Like Gerri said, we started talking about living in different worlds from 2007. It's been a great pleasure to work with people like Damien who saw the way to actually actualize it in a real world scenario with Alliance Française and create something meaningful. Just to give you a little bit of a story of how Kreis Immersive started, we were really frustrated, Marco Tremusoni, my co-founder, and I were really frustrated by how VR was displayed in exhibitions. Like we would just go into this
Let's have a look. We are running a little bit late. Let's have a look at what you have created all together, so we can comment on this. Because I think it makes sense now, but at that time it was a kind of a revolution, right?
I hope it still is.
It still is?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the clip, because I think this example shows how we can work together, and also how a project like that one is reverberating all over the world. Because what you have done was also something that was reused by the Cannes Film Festival, right?
Correct. We created a new world called Alexandria, which hosted the filmic world of Cannes XR and Forum des Images for the New Images Festival. And it is a space to go and consume culture and what we like to call the new generation of content.
Let's have a look. Est-ce qu'on peut envoyer la vidéo, s'il vous plaît, please? how did you, please, Yangos?
No, I was going to say, I was going to explain a little bit the platform that we created, because we were always trying to create proper access to people who haven't seen VR, and it's still in 2022 now. We still meet people who wear like a VR headset for the first time. So it's important to design not only the physical spaces, but especially like platform like ours in a way that allow and sort of are created to host first-time VR users. So it's very important to design spaces that are beautiful, but at the same time are very simple to use. And especially when you have beautiful movies that you want to show, we made everything quite accessible. For example, we use only one trigger to navigate throughout the space and show content.
Thank you.
The collaboration.
Yeah, please come on. The collaboration.
Right. And the collaboration with Damien started with the new building that they were going to make in Alliance Française, and they wanted to have a digital twin or reimagined digital twin that would sort of be persistent while the new building was being built. So we created, using our platform, this ability to create a space that would have the spirit of the look of the new building. That is a space to celebrate francophone cultures and beyond in a way that hasn't been done before. In that space, you can actually watch full immersive movies, like 360 movies, and like Damien said, you can see art gallery pieces, and also create real connections with people, because when you go into that world, you're in an avatar form. You can actually talk to each other and see movies together. So it's a unique space.
Fantastic. It's a great transition because we have two other Canadians. One is with us, Roman RAPPAK. He lives in Paris, and they made the decision to live in Paris with his associate, co-founder. Her name is Anne McKinnon. Anne is in Toronto now. Are you there, Anne? We are waiting for you. But you come from the same type of perspective. You say, if we want the metaverse to really exist, we have to create events, and you are a musician, so you thought about creating a space where music could enter into the metaverse.
Yeah, I mean, that really resonates with me because it's one thing to have incredible technology and for everyone to be writing and thinking about how it's going to change life and culture, but until those tools are in the hands of artists and creators, then it's mostly just interesting technology. And historically, when technology has moved culture forward, going back to the 16th century, when there's new tools, the artists that come along and express something interesting with them are the people that really define that era. And at the moment we're at this really interesting position between the two, because there are these tools available, there are platforms that are starting to become available, platforms like the one Anne and I have started, Ristband.
Anne is joining us from Toronto, we can see her. Hello, Anne.
Hi guys, thanks for welcoming me from abroad.
Yeah, great to hear you.
Yeah, just to conclude then, we had this experience of seeing that there was all this incredible explosion of technology and something that was looking like it would be a real cultural shift. But there are the two key parts, which is number one, and I think as was mentioned before by Yangos, which was really interesting, is that what's the context of how it's presented? It's all very well to go to a trade show and someone says, try this VR headset, it's going to change the world. But what we were focused on is how do we make it something that we can actually take on tour to different countries, that we can create a presentation that is more around the idea of things that are familiar, which is people understand a concert and they understand cinema.
The emotional part of it, right?
Exactly, and the ritual. As soon as people are queuing up and they've bought a ticket and they're going to experience this thing, their senses are already so much more heightened than someone in CES saying, try this headset on.
Yeah. Anne, do you share the same vision?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why do we spend time online and how do we define a game? It's because people want to play to have fun. And I think that's really what we need to think about when we are designing metaverse experiences. I hope I'm not repeating anything because I just jumped in to the conversation, but I think a lot of times when we go into virtual worlds right now, they are empty. There's nothing to do. There's no sense of experience, and people have been playing games, for 40 years, exploring virtual worlds for 40 years. So it's nothing new, but it's definitely, we're learning about what is the format that works to bring live events into these new spaces online.
Let's have a look at what Ristband is. There's a good presentation that you have managed. You have also produced a short explanation of your vision that is available. We shared already at the KIF.
Great.
But I think we have to look and think about what it is to go to a concert, but also to be in mixed reality into a virtual space.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of this technology, is it's questioning where the real and the virtual connect. It's not just about disappearing into a virtual world, I think.
Please.
Well, while they're finding the video,
Ristband.
while they're finding the video, we can explain that
Yeah.
part of the reason for us exploring it in that way is because there's potentially millions and millions of artists around the world who are looking at different ways that they can express their music and take their music on tour. And so presenting a bridge for that technology is the crucial.
Let's have a look at, because I hear the music, but I don't see the clip. Because, come on, please.
Yeah, so I mean...
I can actually see the clip streaming online.
Maybe we can't see it in the studio.
Yeah, we don't see it in the studio.
If people who can see it or people who can't see it, the quick explanation is that Ristband can allow any concert that's taking place in the real world to also take place in real time in the metaverse. So it isn't about replacing real concerts with virtual ones, it's about augmenting real concerts with the sort of reach and interactivity that you get from a virtual concert. So anything from a concert, a sporting event, a fashion show, a festival can be captured in real time and take place with volumetric capture within the Ristband platform.
What's the difference between your metaverse vision and someone else's vision?
I think our focus is definitely much more around how can this be a viable tool for the music industry and for creatives, rather than either a crypto scheme or just a place that you go and play games. It's looking at this idea that what the metaverse for us represents is a layer of the virtual, a layer of spatial internet.
People go to the concert, they have an emotional experience, and then you added a layer.
Exactly, and it's kind of about this idea that what is the metaverse actually going to be? And I'm sure we might not even call it the metaverse in 10 years, but what I believe is, in the same way that the internet became a layer of technology around the world. For instance, I arrived here in a cab and I used the internet, and that cab had an avatar in the internet. A bank statement I received that I paid for, a phone, an Instagram post. All of those exist in a virtual world that's over our real world. And so I think what the metaverse represents is that, but a spatial expression of that, which things like concerts and events lend themselves to really well.
So it's an artistic vision, it's an emotional vision. And then you go to the screen. Maybe we can have a short presentation of what's happening during your concerts, because we are running late, so I'm trying to...
Yeah, we can keep it brief. But I guess there are two sides to it. We do the Ristband, which is a platform where anyone with a laptop or a phone can arrive in a virtual concert that's happening, which is a digital twin of a real live concert. And then we realized very early on that it wasn't enough just to send someone a video or a PDF or even to send them a link to it, that taking it to physical shows and events and having a tour that we did meant that people instantly understood it. We were in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and people who queue up to go and see something and experience live music while they're sitting with real people, and at the same time they can see that concert is taking place with thousands of avatars attending, instantly understand what it's about. We didn't need to explain anything further.
So they were at the concert?
Yeah.
and in the metaverse at the same time.
Exactly, yeah.
What kind of devices were they using?
We've tried to be as device agnostic as possible. So we have, at the shows, we use everything from projection mapping to mixed reality headsets. At home, you could access on a mobile phone or on a laptop, on a PlayStation. We learned very early on that people actually like consuming it in all different ways. So some people liked going into the game or the experience or the metaverse part of it. Some people liked watching other people playing it on Twitch. And some people just like listening to it because it was just like a radio show for them.
Can we have the video, the Dubai video to finish while I'm asking you why did you make the decision to install your company in France? Because it's a great story.
Yeah.
Why did Anne and you make the decision to install your company in France?
I mean, it kind of happened organically. I was already working with, I was signed to a label here, working with French artists.
So this was happening in
This
Dubai?
is what we did in Dubai, yeah. So you can see that they're all connected on a multi-user network, the audience that would come in, and we did very short presentations because obviously we didn't want to do a long drawn-out show because there was thousands of people that were passing through. And then in response to the Paris question,
so your music,
yeah,
your musicians,
performing on stage.
People were wearing different headsets, and they were with an augmented reality, mixed reality experience.
Reality view. Occasionally it was fully virtual, occasionally it was augmented reality, but they were doing it together. They were seeing it all at the same time, which I think is a crucial part of what...
Engage users.
Yeah, and it's also a concept about being together. There's an interesting contradiction. A virtual concert and a real concert are actually antithetical to each other. A concert is all about feeling like you're going to a special place, being around other people, the sort of the visceral excitement of live music, whereas how could that ever really be captured in a virtual concert? So it's us, what we're doing is exploring where that grey area is in the middle, and that's where Paris came into it, because as soon as I started working more and more in Paris, I would meet pockets of people. Some people would be 3D artists, some people would be in the Web3 space, some people would be just designers, some people would be in the games industry. And there was this amazing cross-pollination between, you would go for a dinner and there would be someone who works for a games company with someone who is a writer.
But it's the same in Vancouver.
I'm sure it is, but from London, it's one train.
So you are Canadian in English?
Yes, that's right.
And Anne is a Canadian too, right?
Yes, that's right. And
what's the difference between the two ecosystems? What's the difference between Canada or France? Or do we have a lot in common? What do you say?
That's a question for you, Anne.
It's a question for you, Anne.
Oh, sorry. I can only see a picture of myself, which is actually it's very strange. So maybe Roman, do you want to just take this?
I can lead you into it, because at the moment we're a part of a blockchain accelerator in Canada.
Okay.
And working with lots of Canadian technologists and people in the Web3 space. And at the same time, we're in Paris working with development teams here. And I think there's a huge link between the two, this idea of, and I guess it's the theme of what we've been talking about, right? It's about where does art and technology, how do they interlink, and how can you make something meaningful with new technology, but also how can you keep innovating with that technology to provide the tools for those artists. So I think that there's that sort of melting pot idea is what I feel the kind of...
Yangos, is it exactly the same in Vancouver? Do you hear me?
I would say so. I would say so, and I think that's why we jive a lot with the French ecosystem as well, because I think it's quite similar in the way that the community doesn't even seem antagonistic. It feels that wherever you go in an XR meetup, everybody understands that we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to sort of promote the next generation of things, and it just feels that everybody's trying to reach a common goal where we all inspire people to be part of this new wave.
Do you feel that we are actually in the same wave?
Yeah,
if we live in different countries.
Yeah, I kind of you feel it when you go to events in different countries, which we've been quite fortunate. Anne and I have been able to go to easily about 20 different countries, where some of them are VR meetups, some of them are art focused, some of them are music focused, and there is definitely in the connection with Canada and France is this idea that you have people coming together, working with these different things. They're not as cliquey as you would imagine. When you go to the music event, you see the technology people and the having conversations about music, and the people in the fashion world are talking about ideas of how fashion is going to exist in the metaverse. And I think that, you know, Paris has got that history of being a sort of an art hub and a music hub and a cultural hub.
And technology hub
somewhere. And the idea of pushing boundaries is definitely something that I feel is a connection with how Canada operates in Vancouver.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You've been extremely clear. Thank you, Anne, for joining us from Toronto, and Yangos too, because it was a bit challenging because we are running late. But I think the basic idea, the great idea we all share is that we are creating in this new universe. We have a lot of things in common, and we can do things. The great experience I have about Ristband, and also the great experience I had about the space you created, Yangos, is that I can actually take my headset and move to Vancouver because of this beautiful object you have created. So thank you so much too. And it's also, to me, the proof that the whole discussion we are having around the connection between the two countries is really a very creative and fruitful one. So thank you all, and despite all the difficulties we experienced, but it was live, I think we share the great idea of this cooperation and a very productive, creative tech approach. Thank you so much. So we are late, so we need to move on to the second part of our discussions. Hello, we are back for the second part of our discussion around the cooperation and the benchmark between France and Canada. I'm very happy to have our friends in Canada, JC, Maki, and Logdao. How are you, Log? Are you there?
Hello, I'm great. Nice.
From Vancouver? And JC?
How are you?
JC, are you there? Great.
Yeah, I'm also here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do. And I'm very happy to have our French friends too. Pauline Augrin, Digital Deputy Director of CNC. Olivia Papini, Vice President of CNXR.
Yeah.
CNXR in French. And also a producer developing a lot of exciting content. And our friend Vincent Gutmann, yes, who's a producer, but also here as the president of French Immersive Studio. Yes. So we'll have a discussion around the difference between the different ecosystems and how this economy and this new creation is organized from a Canadian perspective, but also from a French perspective. The idea is also to create a dialogue between us. We will try to avoid PowerPoints, but we'll have some things to share. To set the scene, I think, Locke, can you please describe how your system works, and then Pauline will react. And the idea we had is also to connect the different dots and also to show how, let's say, the economy, the structure, and the value chain works with a state or a state intervention. Please, Locke, as the general manager of DGBC, tell us how it works from your perspective.
For sure. And hi, Pauline. It's been a few years.
Yeah. Nice to see you again.
So you're the president, acting chair of the Canadian Interactive Alliance, and also
yes,
the director of the GGBC. If I share,
that's right.
Can you share your presentation, please?
Sure. Do you want me to do it?
Yes, please do, because...
All right, I'll share here. Like we say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So yeah. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, so DGBC represents the creative technology sector in BC. So
British
we
Columbia.
represent, British Columbia, which is over on the west coast of Canada. As we mentioned off the top, I also am the acting chair of the Canadian Interactive Alliance, so all of the interactive and digital media associations across the country, across this very large country. So But back here in Vancouver and British Columbia, we have a very unique ecosystem that's developed over 40 years. It started with video games. And
let me ask you a question on this, because I think it's a huge difference. Yeah. In this organization, in this association, you have industrials like Netflix or Microsoft or Unity, and they are part of the same effort.
Yeah, that's right. They through different parts of their organizations, right? So Netflix has acquired Scanline VFX, a virtual production company, and they've acquired Animal Logic, an animation VFX studio. So those are the parts we have here. They actually own a video game studio here as well, but they keep that low key. And then Microsoft, for example, we have the Coalition, which is their video game studio, but also the HoloLens team is the majority of them are here in Vancouver. So,
okay, thank you. Please.
Yeah. So our sector it's been a unique progression. We've renamed to creative technology, as you mentioned at the end of your last presentation. How it started with the video games, but we added animation and VFX over time, and then VR, AR, and XR. And then these days, virtual production is a great example of convergence.
All right, here we go.
Do you want me to play this little clip?
Yes, please. It's explaining how it works, because you are actually seeing the creation and the content as a whole, right?
Yeah. No, totally. I don't think the sound will work here, though, right? You don't hear the sound?
Make it up fast, don't it down slow. This is a game changer. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? We're so ready for it. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? This is what we gotta go. Crazy guys. 3, 2, 1, ready, set, go.
Let me comment a little bit on that. It's actually animation, video game, technology. So you're betting on the convergence, right?
Yeah. So it starts with the animation sector here. I'll bring the sound down a little bit. So we have sampling the animation sector, and then we have video games. Sorry, just clicked too far. We have video games, and then we have the VR, AR, XR sectors. So
your association is managing everything, or at least connecting the different part of the business, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're connecting the three. There's different, and I think you want me to get to the business side of it, right? There's a few different tax credits we have here. One for the film industry, but we have a different one for interactive digital media, right? And Canada is quite unique in this way, in that each province has their own tax credit, and each province's interactive digital media tax credit qualifies for different kinds of activities. So in BC, it's video games and VR, AR, XR activities for entertainment products and education products. And you can see here over the last, this chart shows over the last 7 years, there's been an almost doubling of jobs, partially as a result of the tax credit.
So basically, to summarize, you're betting on the convergence of creation and technology. Then you are putting in place this tax shelter system, and you are showing that it works. Actually, it's creating a lot of jobs, and it's a creative and tech effort subsidized or helped by the government.
Yeah, it's exactly. But we showed that the return for every dollar that the government invests, there's $1.55 return. So it's been it's a profit for the government. It's a profit in terms of creating new jobs, and then those people in those jobs, pay. They go and buy a house. They pay for cost of living, and that injects money into the economy.
Okay. So we have it. We can share it. How does it work? I mean, is it possible to have in the same room so many different interests from animation, video game, or tech?
Yeah, it's been a really good partnership all around. One of the things that we realized is that we have a shortage of talent, just like everyone around the world, right? So we've decided to all work together to improve our talent situation. So we've come up with education programs. I didn't prepare any slides for that today, but we've come up with education programs where we're working with universities and colleges to come up with creative technology training programs specifically for where we're at today, and it's guided by industry. So that, and then our companies are also starting their own academies as well, right? So with a number of virtual production studios that are here. For example, we have Industrial Light and Magic, which is Lucasfilms and Disney, and they have their own Jedi program to teach people virtual production because it's such a new workflow that combines VR and Unreal Game Engine, their own game engine now, right? And of course filmmaking. So that convergence is a great example as well, right? To show how the different sectors are kind of merging. So.
Thank you a lot. How do you react, Pauline, when you see this type of plan, connecting the dots between the different industries, not isolating technology and putting it into action with a tax shelter? Is it the same type of thing we are doing in France?
Well, this convergence is also our approach in a way. Just to tell you the story, actually I joined the CNC in 2008 when we launched a new fund called the New Media Fund, and basically it was already decided to support projects that explore new forms of digital storytelling driven by the digital devices, users and technologies, without being profitable necessarily, but with a new connection with this audience that was more and more active and committed. So this new media fund at that time was already quite connected with the video games field. Mm-hmm. Actually, the year before, we launched the two major schemes to support video games. That was quite new and innovative because it was including the video games integrated video games into our cultural policy, and recognize video games as an art form. So it was quite a revolution at that time, and it's quite obvious that the digital, interactive or immersive projects and video games, they have a lot in common. This is not the same market, the same business models, but they are based in the same technologies, same artists, same schools. So this is a global ecosystem, which is quite reinforced by the Metaverse trend today. But our approach is really global, and we have supported innovation for a very long time as well. To support, research and development projects, innovation, new technological solutions for the development and the creation of these different fields. And it's obvious that we have to deal with tech and content at the very same time, actually.
What we shared in common, because I was also working with you at the CNC on this immersive commission,
absolutely,
was to also try to tell the story through the people who have lived that story. And we have online Marie Blondiot. Do you hear us, Marie?
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining. I know you are in Amsterdam at ITFA. You began that journey by producing documentaries and producing interactive content. And now you are also developing games, illustrating what we are talking about, this convergence between different types of creations. How do you see that? How do you see this developing, this convergence?
I think that, yes, right now we sense the absolute continuity between interactive field and the video game, meaning that we just learn on our way to work with game engine, with skills taken from video game. And to me, between Red Corner, that was my former company, founded 10 years ago, and Coven, the video game company I've just founded 1 year ago, there's a kind of continuity that looks on the creation side absolutely natural, and I think that the back and forth between experimental formats and, let's say, more consistent mainstream projects is it sounds like the same part of the job, I would say.
How do you feel? What do you feel about that, Vincent, as the head of the French Immersive Studio? Do you think it's the same technology for different purpose?
I come from the VFX, so I come from the VFX industry for like 15 years, and 8 years ago when we opened Small, we tried. It's a label from MacGuff. You know, MacGuff. It's a huge studio in VFX, so it was kind of like a moving progress. It was. Obvious, yes. I mean, we need to start thinking differently, and we need to start exploring new ways to create content.
Let's have a look at what the French Immersive Studio is. It's a federation of producers?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a federation of just the studio. In fact, it's not just producers, it's only for the studio. And it's because it's the way to show that to the international community that we have a platform to produce all the content in France.
So you're all independent and working together to propose
yes, we are
creative technologies?
Creative technology, but also we are, you know, it's like to structure the whole market, we need to work together to say, okay, we need to share the R&D because it's too expensive to do alone. We need to share the human resources also because we have some problem on this. We need to have more resources, and also we have a lot of work doing by the government and the CNC with the tax rebate. So we need to show to the international community that there is a big tax rebate, and there is we can work in France and produce content in France.
Yeah, there are different ways to work with France. Actually, the first one is to co-produce. I mean,
absolutely,
to share the IP with a French production company, for instance. But a foreign company can also work with a production service company based in France and have access to what we call the TRIP tax rebate for international production. Or a foreign studio can set up in France a new studio, a new company, for instance. We have a new department at the CNC, the Film France department, dedicated to international promotion, and that provides all the.
We have some images of your production. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think there's a know-how. It comes from the schools, the famous schools, creation schools, and this is what the French companies are producing.
Absolutely, because all this was done in the studio. We are right now 6 studios in this federation, and all this work was done by the studios. And we thought it was really important to show to the people that behind all the producers, there are studios working in France and producing a lot of contents that have a lot of awards in all the international festivals.
So the same convergence we were talking about with Locke.
Absolutely.
From VFX to video game industry to immersive, or?
Yes, it's obvious that there is a link, and we go to the film festival in everywhere, and there is a link between the IPs to go from the movies, theaters to another way to show it.
And different type of content,
yes.
Cultural content, exhibitions.
Yeah, entertainment,
shows,
cultural, almost video games, but narrative video games. We have many content, different, cultural, a lot of things, in fact.
And the same for you, Marie, because you are developing a game, a video game. How could you describe Fightback?
Few of them. So you will see the continuity between, let's say, the interactive immersive field and the video game with Fightback. It's a VR experience directed by Céline Tricard. It's about self-defense and learning self-defense gestures through a fiction and a fight between light and shadows. super poetic. And we've made this 30 minutes experience with our co-producer, France Télévisions, helped by the CNC. And what happened is that at the end of the 30 minutes, we had a wonderful experience to share. And right now we're working with other investment on a 3 hours game, which is a super good news for the studio we've just created. I don't know if you want to see a few images of it.
Yes, we have some images of Fight Back. They will be launched directly now. It's a trailer, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You can comment on them because it's a bit mysterious.
Okay, so you are a star, and you will have to liberate on your way different stars that will teach you gestures. These gestures are made with hand tracking, which is a super innovative feature of the headset Quest 2, one of the main headsets on the market right now. So what we've done is both a poetic and innovative content, namely having in mind this female audience that he's still to be found in the immersive market. So a lot of risks put into that, and what I feel is that the help of, let's say, public services, CNC, France Télévisions here were absolutely fundamental into finding ways to take this risk, creatively speaking. And right now we are really rewarded because this value we just built is now...
There's no market, there's no real business from the very beginning.
At the beginning, I would say that, let's have this conversation. I would say that innovation and innovation in content is a specific market. Let's say that if by market you mean that people just give that for free, no, it's a different kind of let's say, experimental times, and I think that they are still valuable. And right now, they lead to this interesting game that is right now in production. I think that what is important to say on the market, and does it exist or not, a lot of things has been said on that. I think that it's an emerging market, meaning that it's a fragmented market. That we are working with stores, we are working with installations, location-based experience. It is divided between pieces that you could link to contemporary art or game. The scope of content itself is super large. So what we are trying to do is test the most possible things, and right now you have things consistent, let's say consistent project that can exist on the commercial side right now, and it has to be tested for years before appear on the market like that, but with all the, let's say, daring proposals and kind of reflection that Fight Back, for an example, has. Yeah.
Jessie, in Vancouver, what do you think about all this? Because you are both a creator and also a developer, or also a strategist for, let's say, Web3. How do you see this potential?
I think it's still very nascent, a lot of this stuff. And, I'm endlessly fascinated by it. I kind of came of age as a contemporary art curator across the board, so not just digital work, but incredibly fascinated with artworks and artists that wanted to make art out of social networks and social connections. And this even predates things like Facebook, and especially French artists who are doing this kind of work.
Neil Beloufa, for example, you're working with Neil Beloufa?
Neil Beloufa, but he always says we're the children of artists like Pierre Huyghe and Philippe Areno. And Neil Beloufa is one of France's current most important artists, I would say, and I've been producing films with him for a couple of years, but during the pandemic, we really dove into thinking about storytelling as a composable media. And what that meant is like, we'd made this film in 2014 about a global pandemic that was all told through Skype calls and media takes. And then fast forward to 2020, we were living in this world that we had imagined. So we decided to play with it. While we were both in our homes, me in Vancouver, him in Paris. And basically he turned it into a kind of a game that had a game interface.
So you had a creation and you transform it into a game, right?
Yeah, it was a film that was told through a game-like interface, and then it became an exhibition where the exhibition itself became like a giant game board, and it was an immersive cinema where people could experience the film, but they would have to answer challenges and play games to get to successive levels. They could earn points, and then that would unlock kind of online content afterwards, and we created a digital community around the experience of the film online, but also in the exhibition. And it became something that was quite malleable and quite adaptable, and we just kept playing with audiences to figure out how this could work. And that exhibition's gone on to tour a couple of times, and we keep building with it. NFTs kind of emerged during this period, so we entered into that in terms of like, you know, your participation in the artwork enables you a share of its value in a way. So by participating in it, you co-create the value, you co-create the discourse, you co-create the cultural understanding of it. So there's takeaways that you get to take with you, and those takeaways also unlock future access to content that's coming out of the studio as well.
So it's a mix of creation and technology again. But you pushed the boundaries because you also included NFTs, all these type of new experiences to develop a new relation between artists and the audience.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's incredibly important. And that relation is where the discourse lives, and contemporary art kind of feeds off of the discourse. You know, it is about the objects and the space, but it is much about the networks and the conversation and the ambiance and the emotional kind of landscape that you create around that. And we want to be fed by that. We don't just want to kind of receive auction values and kind of critics' reviews in the newspaper anymore. It's something much more dynamic, much more alive.
It's more about a community than only about a traditional perception of art.
That's right, and the community creates the artwork. Without the community, the artwork wouldn't exist, or the value of the artwork wouldn't exist. And I don't just mean value in a monetary sense, but the cultural value and what it means to people and how it connects with them as well.
And you're working a lot with friends too, with Fondation Pernod Ricard or others to build events?
Yeah. So through that film project, we've developed a studio that's kind of grown out of it. It's called EB. And yeah, what we're focusing on now is creating digital bridge experiences, physical digital experiences. Phygital might be another word. I love the headset. I love the game experience, but you know, let's look at Meta's stock value at the moment, and we could say that perhaps the headset might still be a few years off. So we're looking at ways to kind of create physical environments where that composable media can be played with, and then it can unlock online content for later that you can access from your computer, from your phone, kind of more rudimentary or very democratic kind of forms of access to the digital side of it. But essentially, it's game-like environments. And so we've been working with the Fondation Pernod Ricard, and we've been doing a couple of social events, clubs around the Ethereum Development Conference in Paris. And then recently during the Art Plus Week, we also did that. And we were also involving physical artists who were involved in the Prix from the Ricard Prize. As much as we invited a bunch of DAOs to come in and bring artists and kind of populate the environments with those artworks. We've worked with the perfumer like Frédéric Malle to do kind of scent ambiance and kind of game activated scent ambiance places. We've working with Vitra to develop something for a charity auction coming up called the Block Chaise, which is a chair that records all of your postures on the blockchain. And then we have a collaboration coming up with the Maison Hermès as well around their Buyers Week in Paris. So yeah, a lot of brands seem to be really interested in this right away.
So the business model is not only about creation, it's also about integrating brands in the experience.
Yeah, the brands are very interested. They get it right away. I think the public institutions are having a harder time grasping how audiences can behave because they just didn't have the same kind of relationship with their audiences, the ways that a brand does and the way that a brand has been doing it online in much more dynamic ways than public institutions have been doing over the past 10, 15 years.
Thank you, Jesse. Olivia, as a teacher and also as a creator, you're working a lot with Japan.
Yeah.
You have this kind of attraction for Japan? You speak Japanese?
Yeah, the fact is I was working in Japan during 15 years, and my main associate is Japanese, Naoka Wada. So I used to work with my students on a very specific project with her. And when the COVID started 2 years ago, we tried a VR project with her. So in Hiroshima.
To develop the relation.
Yeah, immersive.
Despite the fact that you couldn't travel anymore.
Yeah, and it was very interesting to let the students to create an immersive project in English with a Japanese company. And that project was very rich during 2 years. And
because originally you're a storyteller, you're much more into creation, but as you are teaching, you used all these technologies to reconnect people that were separated by COVID.
Yeah, and so we do the project with the Japanese team, and all the students realized everything for the VR program and the immersive storytelling I used to teach and to create with them, and we finally.
Let's have some images for everybody to understand what your work is. I think this is a project Saigoku Road.
Yeah.
This is your partner, your Japanese partner.
Yeah, Naoko Wada. So you're going to. So this is the office she has in Hiroshima, and so she was.
Television.
Yeah, because it's not so usual to have a project with Japanese team and French students. So we had that opportunity to show all the project with my students and with Naoko on the Hiroshima channel. So it was for me and my students in English, of course. And it was very interesting because, as you can see, we tried with the art set and to create a very specific environment for the project.
So we can see you now.
Yeah, it was my first time on the Japanese TV. Very different from with French TV. So and you can also see my
your students.
Yeah, so they are talking in English with Naoko Wada-san.
And she's in Japan and they are in France.
She's from Hiroshima, and now
she's in the Metaverse or something.
The project we realized for her and with her. So one of my students is speaking in English, trying to explain what we did together for 2 years, and it was an amazing experience.
So this is another example of convergence between, let's say, your storytelling activity, then you're also an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How do you see this world evolving? Do you think we could produce this type of thing with Canada, for example? Or
I'm sure that it can be very interesting, of course, to create that kind of assimilation project with them, with French and Japanese students, for example.
So it's called Elixir. There's another experience, pedagogy. I mean, so then this is a universe. It's in Discord.
Yeah, because my partner asked me to create something in French, Japanese, and English in order to.
So this is a metaverse.
Yeah, we use first. We create an environment with Minecraft at the beginning, and we decided to connect it with Discord in order to let students speak to the teachers in French, Japanese, or English. Depends the teachers.
In Minecraft.
And Minecraft, depends the school. So now we are working with French schools and Japanese university, and I hope, why not, to try to work with Canada. Yes.
Yeah. It's another example I wanted to highlight because it shows that French talents are very open-minded and creative. I mean, I'm really surprised that there's already a Japanese-French project. I never heard. And you're also a member of a new association called CNXR.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what CNXR is about?
CNXR is a federation.
Is it like a Lockdowns association?
Yeah, totally. It's this. I think it's the same. So as you know, the XR market is really strong, and since 1999, with a Laval virtual event, there is a very strong community and network.
It's very fragmented too.
Yeah, very. You have different files such as leisure, tourism, health, learning, research, education, culture, many files. And with the CNXR, we decided to do a very important and huge XR study in order to speak with valuable data with the government and to explain our community, our needs, what we can do, and what we need to develop the map.
Luc in Vancouver, what do you think about this effort?
I think it's tremendous, and we just did a study as well for the XR sector here, and we post-pandemic to see who is still around, and there's 36 companies here in BC. I think that would be a great opportunity for collaboration. I know a lot of these companies already are doing collaborations and would be interested in doing more with our friends in France.
So we have seen the whole value chain, creation, production, and also the big challenge of distribution. Maybe we can show some of your slides, Pauline, about the way the French government is pushing for this, this challenge of this so-called France 2030, France 2030.
France 2030, 2030, yeah.
So it's a push from the French government.
It's a big, a huge investment plan that was later. It's two or three slides later. Yeah, because I already talked about this. This slide after. Sorry.
No problem.
So a few words about this France 2030 plan. It was announced by the President of France 1 year ago. It's a very big, ambitious investment plan that covers different sectors with high potential. But in the cultural field, we had this first call for project, which is called the Great Image Factory, which is a 350 million euros plan. That to invest to make France one of the top destinations for production in Europe, and in order to invest in a few game-changing projects to expand our capacity, basically to double our capacity. Because there are huge opportunities today in the markets that are audiovisual and video games market, but also to innovate for digital production like VFX, virtual production like LED walls, and also animation and video games. And it's also a green transition plan, so our ambition is also to reduce the carbon footprint of production.
There's a lot in common between what you're saying and what Gerri was saying at the very beginning. Because she began by explaining that she was also working on clean energy and also innovation at large, and then showing that there was an effort on the industrial metaverse. More or less, you are saying that this creative effort is also compatible or will accelerate the transition to a cleaner or...
It has to be compatible because this plan, as I said, is an investment plan. So we want to accompany the different companies in these efforts, in general, transformation efforts, which include necessarily a green approach. And
sorry, come on.
No.
Luc or JC?
Yes.
Do you feel it's compatible to develop this immersive world with so many technology and build a green or greener world?
That's definitely what we're looking at right now in Canada nationally. So we have we have the Canada Media Fund, which is a public fund, and we're actually discussing all of this on Thursday. But yeah, we're looking at the future of what replaces the experimental fund, what is interactive moving forward, what does interactive digital media mean, and all these questions are up in the air, which is why we did our study, because a lot of our like Jesse, a lot of our world is involved in NFTs and blockchain and Web3, as well as Metaverse work, in addition to all the core industries. And I think the definition is going to change. We're working on a new definition over the next year for Canada as well, with the Canada Media Fund and nationally with all of our organizations. So I think it's going to be an interesting convergence for the funding world as well, right?
Jesse, how do you see this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's part and parcel. Like, there's a lot of innovative people involved in this sector, and that means we're going to find ways to use less energy, because that means less money needs to be spent on production. I mean, in this past couple of months, the Ethereum blockchain, one of the biggest blockchain outside of the Bitcoin blockchain, just became carbon neutral, which was really, really encouraging with their proof of stake protocol. So it's using vastly less energy. I think they could even measure how much less energy the world was using because of this shift of the blockchain on Ethereum. But also in BC, there's an innovative group. So I want to give a shout out to Chinook X, which is an incredible association of people in this space, but also from the First Nations communities of British Columbia, who are looking at ways to create Indigenous data sovereignty around Indigenous communities, work with green energy projects on traditional territories, and at the same time host servers that could be used to kind of process this digital media world that we're trying to build. So it's an incredible project that's really nascent, and I really want to see it grow over the next couple of years, and I really want to follow their leadership on this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all our friends from Canada. The last words for Damien Hubert, head of French Alliance Française de Vancouver. Thank you again for supporting this effort, Damien. It was a little bit challenging because of the live transmission, but I think the main ideas we all shared clearly expressed. The fact that there are bridges between Canada and France, that there are a lot of creative people that are looking for partners, new ventures. I've been really amazed when I was preparing that emission to see the creativity on both sides. How do you see that as a Alliance Française? And you asked us, by the way, to speak in English, because people were surprised that we were French people talking in English live. I think it's also showing that we are open-minded. How do you do that in Vancouver?
Well, I mean, the great things of having this type of event is to be able to share the work of everyone and to share the vision. And I think it's great to see that between France and British Columbia, I mean, Canada, generally speaking, there's a common sense, there's a clear vision of what will be achievable. And the good, I mean, as Alliance Française, we always see benefits in partnerships, and being able to see so many actors working with such amazing projects, there's a great potential of creating partnerships. And in my view, as Alliance Française, we want to create more partnerships, and as I said at the beginning, having more opportunities for the general public to see everything what it is creating in this world. And there's so many good things to be able to see. Having this opportunity for the general public to look at it, it's great, and we are looking forward to work with so many new partners, and I would say yes, stay connected for the future.
I would like to encourage everyone to go to your space, because it's the first metaverse space in Alliance Française. I don't know how to call it. I know you don't like the metaverse word. I don't know how you call it. Another space?
We call it the other one, the other metaverse. The other one. But because it's not a commercial thing, and as I said, we want to encourage and create partnerships, and having a space, having a multi-user space is really important, so people can share. because experimenting something new is something, but being able to share or having a talk with the artists or the producers, it's really something different. And it is how we can, create the message and having all the people living it and really truly understand it.
And again, this space is a space we can visit from France. We just have to download the app.
Free. Yeah, it's on Oculus Lab. It's absolutely free. You can,
and you can see a lot of French artists too. The list is absolutely fantastic. The curation is great. Also discover new artists or different artists. Will you organize a V-UNFRAMED next year?
Definitely, it's set up to happen every year and to do more throughout the year actually. So. Yeah, I encourage all the partners here, all the people we talk to contact us and maybe create something bigger next year.
Do you have a scheduling, or do you plan to use that space for other part of the Alliance Française, or even the French artists that want to use it as a place to show their art?
Yeah, definitely. It's Espace V is a place that can be used throughout the year. We have different themes coming in. We talk about sustainability and greener energy, and so we will have in February a theme about nature and oceans and biodiversity, because there's an Impact 5 happening in Vancouver, which is a big event talking about biodiversity. So we invite artworks, artists to showcase in Espace V. So throughout the year, there's many different opportunities for artists, and it's international. So the great thing is we want to be able to curate, many different artists throughout the world and be seen throughout the world. So, yeah.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you to everyone for sharing that.
Thank you.